You fill up my senses like a night in the forest, like the mountains in springtime, like a walk in the rain.
John Denver was one of the world's greatest musicians. Sadly, he died far, far, far too young. He died back in October of 1997. It seems like yesterday, but time goes so quickly, doesn't it? And that was due to a crash, an air crash. He was piloting an aircraft in California. Like so many great artists, his music lives on. Denver and his fans followed him, and he touched the hearts of so many people. He touched the heart of one fan in particular, my first guest today. When this young man was just 7 years of age, he was so inspired by the music of John Denver, he decided there and then at the age of 7, almost incredible to think, that he would sing and play just like his idol. Bevan Gardiner is returning to Australia for an encore tour, bringing his show just in a couple of weeks' time, Take Me Home, the music and life of John Denver. Bevan Gardiner, nice to have you with me today. Welcome in.
Hi, Lee. Thank you so much for having me.
It's a pleasure, my friend. It's really, really good. The age of 7, what was it that struck you at the age of 7 about John Denver?
Yeah, it was young, isn't it? But I think it was a combination of things. I just started playing guitar at the time. I just really started getting interested in the guitar. I started private lessons, and also around that time, you know, every year my family would take 2 holidays, would go skiing in the winter, and then have camping a summer holiday around Christmas time. And it just so happened that on these trips in the car, I think Dad probably had a limited array of cassette tapes to put in the tape deck.
I understand, yeah.
Yeah, and one of those was a live John Denver tape. I remember the Evening with John Denver show, I think it was. And I think just the combination of, you know, the excitement of going on holiday for one thing, then also listening to this music that, you know, I'd found out that he was a guitar player and I could hear him playing the guitar, and also the excitement of the crowd. Here's this man up on stage performing to thousands of people that are just loving the music, but also what he was singing about as well. Really, at that age, I could relate to. You know, we're going skiing, so hearing songs like Rocky Mountain High, you know, and
of
passing
course.
through that sort of territory, it was like, oh wow, and listening to songs like, you know, we're going down country roads and things. So even at that young age, I think all those factors came together. I was like, oh wow, I really want to. You know, I didn't want to be him. I didn't want to, you know, say, okay, I'm going to play his music solely. I just wanted to do what he was doing.
So you found then within his music there was a message there for you, even at the age of 7. But
even at that age, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And this is incredible. Imagine a 7-year-old kid today thinking that way. Perhaps they do, just like you did. And
yeah, well, I'm sure there is.
Yeah, and look, it's really wonderful. I teach music, and
oh, fantastic.
Yeah, and to find someone like yourself there who hones into the age of 7 and says, "This is what I want to do," you know, that's huge. How did your parents respond to that?
I think, you know, they were always really encouraging, which is fantastic. You know, first of all, you know, I displayed this interest in the guitar. Dad had an old guitar down in the garage, which I found, and I'd always harp at him to bring it up to the house. I wanted to just put it on the floor and pluck at the strings and see what noises I could get out of it. And they sort of said, you know, oh, do you want to go to guitar lessons? I said, well, you know, I think I would. And they sort of, you know, probably any parent at that, you know, having a kid at that age wanting guitar lessons, everything. Oh, this will probably just be a fad, and you know, he'll
that's right.
It'll last a few weeks. But I was there for 12 years, and they supported me. They paid for my lessons right through those 12 years, and they never pushed me. You know, they just let me go at my own pace, and even when it came to performing, they always, you know, they were so proud of me. They'd love to watch, and they'd never pushed me to do anything more than what I wanted to do. You get these stage parents, I suppose, that would just push their kids into everything, which I think can have a really negative effect. But they were always just really positive and just let me go at my own pace. And I'm really stoked now that I'm doing this, what I love, for a living.
Bevan, I love that attitude that you've got, because not having to be pushed by your parents, you did it because of a love and a joy in it. Look, I play piano, and I can remember at your age, I was 6 when I started, and I would go to the piano without being told to practice. I'd go to it,
Yes.
and for me, I don't know about you can tell me your story too, but for me it was an escape.
Absolutely it was. Yeah, I was exactly the same, you know, because I'm the same as you. I teach music here in Dunedin while I'm not doing these tours. I teach guitar and I teach drums. And I say to my students, if you find that if you just, you get those students that will just want to pick up the instrument.
Yes.
Rather than, I have to find 10 minutes in the day to pick up the instrument.
That's right.
But I was the same. I found it as an escape. It was, I couldn't wait to get home from school and play the guitar or things like that. So
well, you see, I was like that too, but I was born in 1946, so I was pre-television days. So you come home after school, and there was the radio, of course, but you'd sit there and you go and practice because you just wanted to do it. And we didn't have iPads, iPods, and all this modern technology, which I think today, and you'd know this from your own teaching, just ruins the kids.
It absolutely does. It really does. People and kids are just more and more just sitting in front of these gadgets, getting things handed to them on a plate, and why play music when I can play these video games or watch TV on demand or whatever like that. It can really ruin them.
Bevan, you mentioned just a second ago about the drums. I was reading about that the other day, that you did some drum work too. What made you or influenced you to do some drumming?
I remember. I think I was around, I think it was about 15, so I got into the drums quite late, but I was about 15, and I started, maybe a wee bit older than that, I started working with a band, quite a professional band in Dunedin. We're going to do a New Year's show. I think it was around 2005, 2006. We're doing this big New Year's show in the Octagon, which is like the central part of Dunedin here. And the drummer that was working on that show, who I knew to a degree, Marcel Rodica, who's actually the drummer for Mother Goose, a 70s rock band. Mm-hmm. And I remember just being really blown away by the way he really commanded the drum kit and really experienced it for the sort of first time, how much the drums could really influence the feel of the music. Yeah. And be basically a conductor for that music, because it's a really big band. From there, I just really thought, wow, I want to do that too.
Isn't that great?
And I said to Mark, I pulled him aside and I said, look, have you got any free lesson slots? I really want to come on, So I started drumming from that point, and I really love it. Yeah, I love playing the drums.
But your heart is obviously right in that guitar there, and being able to do the John Denver stuff that you do so well. With John Denver, now, you were saying earlier that you haven't copied him. It's your own style. But look, I've been watching the ads on television here in Australia. You've got Charlie Pride, who you supported at one stage. And Charlie comes on there in that ad. You may have seen it yourself, and he says, look, if you close your eyes, you can hear John Denver. I think that's something magical in what you're doing. I can't wait to see you here in Australia. I can't wait to go along and listen to you.
Oh, thanks, mate. Yeah, it is. We do say to people, it's not like just this normal sort of tribute show where I'm just getting up there and trying to imitate him. That's certainly not. We're getting up there and honouring the music. And I think it's just because I'd listened to him from such a young age. Well, it was one of my first influences. Naturally, that sort of sound comes out, and as a musician, if you feel that music, so if you're feeling it and you deliver in such an emotional way, then you're doing it successfully.
Well, that's right, because that's what music is. Yeah. It's emotion, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And John's music was full of emotion, So to be able to do those sort of songs well, you got to do it in that way, and I think us and the band really have captured that. And also, we're comfortable with bringing the show on the road because we've got all this approved original archival footage that we fly behind us on the big screen as well.
I noticed that, yeah. Now, of course, you're bringing out 5 international musos with you. Tell us about your music director, David Walker.
Yeah, David Walker. He's just when I first started working with him, I think it was 8 years ago now. I started working with him. He just blew me away. He's just the most amazing piano player just musician in general. Just to be able to, he's got ears like a bat, like he can just hear something quite minuscule that may be slightly wrong but not offensive, but it's just amazing. And he tours with 3 keyboards and a stack, so one hand's playing maybe a bass line or a piano line, the other hand, maybe the 2 fingers of the other hand are playing a string line, and then the other 2 fingers are reaching up to play a horn line, because obviously a lot of John Denver's music is very much with a symphony orchestra. We're trying to capture that, and he's got such great sounds within his playing and his patches and his keyboard to be able to do that. And also he's putting a harmony on it, singing harmony. He's just a really talented man, and really a privilege to be able to work with. You know, we have
That's
a lot
wonderful,
of
isn't
fun.
it? Yeah. I thought you were going to say he uses his left foot on the third keyboard, but...
He almost might have, might have to. Yeah.
You've won many awards too, many of those over here in Australia and up at Tamworth too. You know, you're quite an achiever.
Oh no, yeah. That's you know, to get, you know, I've never set out to win awards, but it's really humbling to be able to get some of those. You know, and I remember going to Tamworth. I think it was back 2006. That was a big. I was like, wow, you know, there's so much talent over there. You know, so many people just successfully doing it, and I was really inspired at that point as well. And I was just really, I wasn't expecting it, but I was really, thankful and humbled to get. I got a male vocal.
Well, as you say, that's right, the male vocal 2006, and then of course you got the gold guitar overall winner in 2005 for that Whispering Jessie, which I'll play at the end of our interview, and that's a beautiful song.
That is it's a really beautiful song. I remember first hearing it, oh wow, you know, again the imagery and the storytelling, which is obviously very much paramount in Denver's music, but it was just such a beautiful song, yeah.
So when you go through in your presentation on stage, we follow through the music of John and, of course, his life. How far do you delve into his life?
We go quite a way, you know. It is, you know, people sort of, after the show sort of say, well, you know, that was a really emotional roller coaster, you know, there's very up times in the show, you know, and down times, well, you know, lovely times through love periods, but then down times as well. You know, we sort of, and John's life was very much like that, very up and down. He had very...
He had highs and lows, didn't he?
Yeah, very, you know, almost the artistic temperament. And we try to capture a lot of that. You know, we go quite deep into that. You know, the way he lost a lot of his relationships, and the way he gained them, lost friendships. So we go into how he lost his father. We don't touch too much. There is a wee bit of talk about the alcohol problems and the drug problems he has, but not too much of that.
Yeah.
People, I don't think, are there to really. We're not there to focus on that. I think everybody knew he had those sorts of problems, but you know, again, what big international star at that point probably did. You know,
I was about to say that to you. Yeah, about to say that. Now, I was reading online the other day that you generally dress up in this cowboy outfit of the 70s. Do you still do that? Are we going to see you dressed up in the 70s in this hairdo that you have on stage?
Yeah, every year I say to the company, I say, you know, do you still want me to do that? You know, because again, you know, even though it's fine, I think it gives that bit more authenticity to the audience. You know, because usually I've got short hair and I sort of spike it up. And
yeah,
things
I
like
noticed that. Yes.
Oh right, and I'd be quite happy to go out there in jeans and a shirt or something, but they still want me to do it, which is fine. You know, that's fine. We want to carry on the authenticity of him.
But Bevan, I think that's a good idea because, as I said to you earlier, music can transport people from point A to point B. And if they got you up there with the music playing and they can imagine John Denver,
yes, exactly,
because you've got the clothing, you've got the looks. I watched you on television, and the way you come across there, plus your singing. It's very much John Denver, and I can see what people are talking about with your hair and your clothes and so on. So full marks on what you're doing. It's just wonderful. Do you have a favourite of all of his songs? I'm going to say he had so many hits, hit after hit, but does one stand out to you?
Yeah, I mean, as I say, he did have hit after hit, and I think we include about 23. I think we've got about 23, 24 songs on the show, and I think first and foremost, a favourite for me to perform is Rocky Mountain High.
Love it.
And it's such a great song, you know, so much great imagery in it, and even the clip that we have before that song comes in off John describing the inspiration he got for that song is very inspiring, and it's got a great guitar line, and the melody is great. It's a really up energy song, and I always love playing that one. But you know, there's songs, and I remember hearing an interview of John sort of saying, you know, he could do the same songs each night, and you know, a song could take on a whole different meaning at a certain time, you know, that he's playing it, you know, from the night before, and that happens as well.
Bevan, before I leave you go, I'm going to ask you a question, another question, but it's this one, which will interest me with the answer. You were only 10 years of age when John Denver died.
Yes.
How did you feel as a youngster who, you know, you modelled yourself on him at 7, you fell in love with his music and he became your idol? What emotional pressure did that put on you at the age of 10 when he died?
Yeah, I still remember it, you know, because he did it almost like he became a friend type thing, you know. And I remember, I was very upset. I remember crying at the news footage that was coming across the television, because I think I always had a vision in my head of one day meeting him, or at least going to one of his shows, you know, getting that wee bit closer to him, or wanting to hear more music from him, and it just sort of seemed, wow, that was all coming to an end, you know.
Yeah, because I thought at the age of 10 it must have left some sort of emotional traits there, and you know,
it did.
As a youngster, I can imagine you crying and the tears coming up and talking to your parents about that. Yeah,
absolutely, I did. Yeah.
Well, you're in Melbourne at the Palais Theatre, a great space. Did you play at the Palais last time you were here?
We did. We did, which was fantastic. And that was a great show. And that was, I think, one of the second last shows we did in Australia before we come back to New Zealand. I remember it being a fantastic show.
Well, that's March the 10th you're here, and we can book through Ticketmaster 136100. And locally down this neck of the woods, Frankston, at the Frankston Arts Centre, you're here on the 6th of March, Sunday the 6th of March, and bookings there are 9784 1060, 9784 1060. And for those listening in Geelong to us too, the Geelong Performing Arts Centre, and you're there on the 9th, Wednesday the 9th. Mate, I do wish you well. I appreciate your very, very valuable time today. I can't wait to see you in concert. It's going to be a lovely, lovely show. Take Me Home, the music and life of John Denver. Bevan Gardiner, thank you very, very much. Take care, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks' time in Melbourne.
Hey, thanks, Lee. Thank you so much. We can't wait to see you guys.
That's a pleasure. Thanks, Belle.
I often have wondered in deep contemplation. It seems that the mind runs wild when you're all alone. The way that it could be, the ways that it should be, and things I do differently if I could do them again.